Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, Doc, great to be here.
Hey, how's it going?
So it's, I guess a week ago, it was Thanksgiving, so we weren't here. So if you looked for us, well, we were doing family stuff.
They probably weren't looking for us. They were probably having...
Yeah, they were probably eating turkey and buying shit online. But anyways, hope everybody had a good holiday. And we're back for a couple weeks. Can you believe it's only 3 weeks until Christmas? 3 weekends till Christmas already.
Man.
This year truly did fly by. You know, people are always like, where did the time go? I can't believe it's already X month. This is the first time I'm like, yeah, dog, like that's how I feel. I feel like this year just started still.
I don't know. I like to refer to everything before March of 2020 as the before times, because it all made sense. And then there's basically March 2020 till now.
Interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Does our 12-month calendar in conflict with your people's calendar?
What do you mean, my people?
The lizard people.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. I recently had to consult the lizard manual on how to grieve. And I was like, oh, okay. So what am I supposed to do? Okay.
It just said one thing, like lizards feel no emotions.
That's a rough joke, but proud of you for making a joke.
Yeah, you gotta get through it sometimes.
Proud of you.
It was a little rough. But we're back. Yeah, so
Yeah.
There's a manual. I can consult it. I know things.
Pour one out for Andre, as John Patrick and Chaz said.
Thank you.
God, I miss that cat. Fucking legend.
It was a little scamp.
Yeah. God, man, I'm sorry you had such a rough holiday, and a lot of support pouring in from the internet for you, man, and
Yeah, it was that definitely helped.
Andre was known by a lot of people, and I think that's one of the coolest things. It's just like if you got your little black cat, hold him tight, just like Wyatt is.
I didn't have a choice about this. He made this decision. He's like, you're going to hold me now.
How old is he?
Yeah. So,
2016.
I thought you were going to be like 26. I'm like, damn.
No, I just don't know what I don't want to do.
Like
I got him in 2016. Yeah.
Good kitty.
Yeah. Cats are dope.
Cats are dope. So we missed a whole week because of reasons.
Good reasons.
A lot of things happened in between our last show and now.
Yeah, decent amount of news and happenings.
Yeah. And we've got like 3 major subjects to talk about tonight. We want to talk about the Custodes.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call those at this point?
Gene Stealer Cult.
Scheduled leaks.
Oh.
Previews.
Teasers.
Got some GSC and the Cult Spice. And we got some early access as a community to the GT 2022 book and some cool new ideas for some tournaments. So we get to take a look at that. We're going to have a tabletop marketplace. Rob, we have some new patrons to thank. We're getting closer to our goal of 100 subscribers on Patreon. I think we only need like 34 to go. So 34 more subs and we can drop annuals and we can do our cool t-shirt promotion we want to do because Patreon thinks we're real. So it's exciting. But let's kick the joint off. Now that I've done the table of context or the thesis of this podcast, over to Wyatt. We can roll out to the Cave of Wonders and touch nothing but the lamp.
Yeah. Would you rather wake up with $20 in your pocket every day or have $200 appear in your house somewhere every day you wake up but it's hidden and you have to find it or it disappears.
Whew. So what counts as my house?
Your house.
I don't own a house.
A place of residence?
You know what I mean.
So
what if I live?
Currently, whatever I am currently engaged in rent with, like, that's where I sleep.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum amount of time I have to sleep in that place
domicile.
before it counts?
Yeah, it's your home.
If I have 2 addresses.
You don't.
What if I did? I mean, I'm
don't.
trying to game this, dog. I'm trying to see what the
can't game
parameters.
it. You can't game it.
What if
It's
I
whatever
don't-
house you're residing in.
What if I
live-
move out of this, shut down this lease, and I go lease my dad's shed for my house, and I put my bedroll in there and I sleep there?
You totally would. How are you
Does
going
that
to
count as
stream,
my house
though?
now?
Yeah, why not?
So the $200 appears in this little box now, somewhere hidden.
Yeah, but it gets because you want to game it. It gets progressively harder to find.
You might have to start tearing it apart.
It has, but it's going to be inside the 4 walls. I let my head down somewhere.
You don't
Yeah.
know that.
Well, I'll take the $200. I mean, I will go through some lengths here, and I think that Genie will allow me to, because
Does the city of Miami allow that shed to be zoned for residents?
I will jump through all the correct hoops to make this work. And I know the Genie will appreciate the effort, and especially since I'll be living in a fucking box just for $200 a day
All right.
to make
Get
it a
to-
little easier. I think the Genie will be on board with that. This fool is sleeping on dirt inside of a little shed that he thinking buying it. How many days before that matters? Okay, this
Or what matters?
it's only $73,000.
Yeah, it's $73,000 a year, or like $8,000 a year if you get 20s.
I mean, that's a lot of money. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
It is a lot of money. It's
But-
like 4 times the poverty rate.
but I'm gonna live in abject poverty to game this.
So that's a win because you're 3X.
You're going to give up on your entire job just to get $200 a day.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm thinking about it now. I'll take.
no
I
plumbing.
stand by it. I'll take the $200 a day. No follow-up question: do I only have 24 hours to find it before it vanishes, or does it keep stacking in my house somewhere?
No. If you don't find it during the day, it goes away. That's the rub. You got to find it. And it's not like inside the walls or anything. It's just hidden somewhere in there.
Like, for some reason, in my head I thought it was like $1 million. You know what I mean? I was
No.
like, but then I had to do math, and I was like, I mean, it's a nice chunk of money for sure, and I would
that's
love to have
pre-tax.
that money. And like,
That's
I will.
pre-tax. You know what the taxes on 73,000 is for us peasants?
What?
It's going to be, well, I mean, it's at least 30%. So you're talking, what, 21,000 in taxes, Genie taxes?
Oh my God, he would do that into the pit, inside the ketchup bottle. Like, I'm literally going to have a fucking...
If you committed to the shack, I was going to punish you.
I'm going to have a tiny house, like, built around me. A bitch is going to be barely longer than I am tall.
How would you live like
I'm
that?
going to have no shelves, nothing. It's going to be my backpack for a pillow and my bedroll. It's all that's in here. I shit in
I don't
the
know.
woods.
Those are Kenny's shit in the woods.
I'll live that way for a year. And when I get tired of it, I'll just move back into my house and move back into a nice apartment or whatever and just deal with trying to hunt down this $200. But if I can get a little bit of walking around money, or maybe I just do that for Christmas.
Just get the $20.
$20 isn't enough. I need
Save
more.
it
I'm
up.
greedy. So here,
Save it up.
So I'll just look for it every day in my normal place. But when we start moving toward Christmas, then I move in to my other residence. And that way I can get a bunch of Christmas money. So I can buy Christmas presents with it. That's my most stressful time of the year.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm doing the $200. My final answer. Not changing.
All right.
Oh,
Genie's
God,
gonna make
Maticus. He's like, it's in your pee jar.
the genie's going to make you fight a chimpanzee for it. You're like, it spawns underneath your pet chimp in your car. Good luck.
Heard that genie hides in your butt. Too easy.
Yeah, that
it's in my
easy.
butt. Like, that's easy. Easy money.
Ooh, there's something in my butt. Again.
I say that a lot for money.
Somebody's going to screen cap or clip that. I obviously am just getting the $20 because I got other shit to do. Like find gluten-free food or learn to smell. Consult the lizard manual. I don't know.
Yep. You said you're doing the $20? You're doing.
I'm doing the $20.
Yeah, you would.
It's like an extra $8,000. I could just spend that. I don't even have to report that.
I mean, it's not bad, dude. I mean, honestly, just like $20 in my pocket. Like, I go to the store and I'm just like, oh yeah, here's my daily $20. Put it.
Here's my $20.
Pays for your coffee every day.
That is highly convenient.
Yeah.
I can't discredit that. I'm going to do some high levels of effort.
Yeah, you can at least get Taco Tuesday twice, even at the noon.
I'm making my bed
rates.
quite literally and laying in it. Anyway, good one. Rob, you want to kick it over and do some news for us?
I want to see you fight a chimpanzee.
I'm not going to fight a chimpanzee without my sword. But I mean, I'll fight that rooster every day.
Get some scratchers. Oh man. So yeah, there's actually a decent amount of reveals and new products, new stuff to talk about. I think I'll kick it off with GW stuff first. So we have confirmation that Battle Force is going to go on pre-order this Saturday. There's only going to be 9 of them available because at least here in the States, the AdMech one apparently is lost in the warp till January, but they're all $210 US dollars here in the States. And they all have roughly a value of $310. So roughly $100 value. A lot of people can get them for 15% less at their local game stores because they're actually allowed to sell that. Some stores sell for less. If you go up on Amazon right now, you can get Dominion for like $100, which is like 50% off. I don't know what GW do if they caught who was selling that, but it's up there. And because Dominion and Kill Team Octarius are not the hot sellers right now. But that being said, these do have pretty solid value, and they're something you can definitely add more. Like if you just want to pick up and start an army, you can add more stuff to it. They did put out another Old Foes bundle this week. There's no value to it, but except for the combat patrol you buy inside of it. So we're not going to really talk about that. Those come out, and they're just kind of meh, I feel like, in my opinion. So look for the Battle Forces to go on pre-order this Saturday. Not sure what GW is going to do as far as allocations go for the web store, but they were telling stores that they're capped at 10 sets of each. And they're making stores buy one of each of all the 40K ones and one of each of all the AOS ones, up to 10 sets of each, because they're like probably pre-boxing them and shipping them out from the warehouse. There is a rumor that they can buy singles next week if there's any left, but who knows if there will be any left or if that's even a real thing. So it is what it is. If you're looking for a little savings this holiday season or something to point mom or your significant other at to be like, yo, I want this. I want to start a new army. You might want to start there. Some of the old ones from last year that didn't get a re-release this year are still available on Amazon or eBay, and they're a little bit more than retail, but they're not crazy expensive. The ones that were super good values have all pretty much sold out by now, but check their secondary sources too. You never know what you might find there. The Imperium magazine went on pre-order for the United States and Canada as well. So if you wanted to get that magazine set that comes with, a few miniatures here and there, and you buy all the sets and it all kind of forms this big, huge picture of all these miniatures that are mostly ETB. It might be a good time to go over there and sign up. It looks like the first set of issues will ship out in January 26th. The price point on it for the first set is discounted. It's like $30, well, $33 with shipping. The second set, I think, is 3 issues, and it's over $70 with shipping. And remember, you're not getting full squads in this either. And at some point, they say they'll charge you for binders to put the magazines in. So read the fine print, vote with your hobby dollars, because, at face value, it looks like a great deal. And there is some really cool stuff in there. But, you might want to look at, there's already almost 20 issues of this thing out in the UK. So you're already looking at 8 months worth of this, and they're only going to cancel if you call up and cancel. So at some point, it might not be worth it for you. It's really hard to say. Obviously check the feature issues and the contents and see if it's, again, worth your hobby dollars. But it is available, and it is coming to America and Canada land as well. Let's see. Hero Quest also came out officially into syndication and distribution. It looks like it's going to be at GameStop. It's on Amazon right now. Entertainment Earth, I imagine it's going to be in a lot of different stores very, very shortly. Amazon looks like the shipping time is relatively soon, so you could probably still get it for the holidays if you ordered it on Prime. And they also have the 2 expansions too, Keller's Keep and the Witch Lord, whatever it's called, Tomb of the Witch Lord or something. So that was kind of cool. Like, in the value, I mean, you're still going to pay more than if you had pledged it back last year, but not by a whole lot, to be quite honest. And just the fact that you can just kind of arbitrarily pick it up now, kind of cool to see too. So, and you don't even have to buy the expansions. I think the base game is $125.99. So there it is. If you were looking to get it, or you thought you might have missed out, and the mythic versions were going for like $400 or $500 on eBay, now you can probably scoop it up relatively affordable and pretty easily, depending on where you shop this holiday season. A couple of Kickstarters I wanted to do some follow-ups on. Looks like RTLW's Magnetic Heroes Kickstarter is over tomorrow on Friday the 3rd. If you're hearing this, it might already be over, but I'm sure there's a backer option and things like that. They hit a bunch of stretch goals. Looks like it's a ton of value. If you want to get some modular heroes that you can kind of customize in mid-game and not have to do a whole lot of gluing, you just kind of focus on painting. That's pretty neat. Heresy Lab also has a set of female heads, all sorts of different hairstyles and, ethnicities to them. It's just, it's really cool because there really isn't anything out there in kind of where you can scale it, because Sisters Battles kind of human size heads, not meta-humans like Marines are one size. I think they're 6.2 millimeters, and a Space Marine head, or if it's a bear head, it's roughly, I want to say 9.1 millimeters. Ask me how I know I scaled it in. So I printed some out, but just to see if it would work, and it works, and they look great. So we did check that out. You used your sextant
to figure that out.
It's called a micrometer, sir.
I know you have one in your drawer right behind you.
I do. I'm a nerd.
Super useful, man. Don't sleep on the micrometers.
Seriously.
I mean, Rob sleeps on his micrometer.
I wish I got, dude, if I got a micrometer every day just in my pocket instead of $20, I would feel like I'm rich as well.
Those are really expensive.
Yeah, they're like at least $20 for a good one. Buy it now on eBay. I'd sell them all. Give somebody else.
Flood the market.
Pay it forward.
I'd finally be able to afford a micrometer.
There you go.
He would just give you like.
I'd still be looking for my $200.
That would be his stocking stuffers every year. Like
micrometers for life.
Christmas 2048. Oh, another micrometer, Rob. Thanks, man. Put it in my closet with 15 other ones.
You get it. What else do we got to talk about? Oh, Creature Caster came out with what they call the Engines of Annihilation. There's 2 different miniatures. They go for $75 each, but they have a bundle for $120. I think it's a pre-order. It's going to deliver I want to say February of 2022. Corpse Bearer and Gorebrand are the 2 different versions of it. Like I said, you can get the bundle with both of them together. They look very chaosy, very what's the word? What's that chaos model with the
demon engine?
Yeah, well, it is a demon engine, but what's the ones that came out with the Helldrake?
Forge Fiend?
Yeah, those. It kind of looks very similar to those if they stood upright and walked. Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, those look pretty neat.
Yeah, I think they're pretty cool looking. I think they get the base size on there too, so you can do a lot with it.
Yeah, these are fucking cool. I can appreciate how cool these are, but also realize I would never want to actually paint these because they're so busy.
So much. So many creature custom models are just the coolest looking models that I'll never paint because it's too hard to paint.
Well, I mean, you can do the value thing, and just have the different shades of colors, but
paint it like a peasant. Yeah. Okay.
I think some of those with like a sweeping contrast on them look pretty good.
You would.
Hey man, I like what I like.
You do.
I vote with my hobby thumbs ups.
That's a fact.
I mean, to be honest, the fleshy bits on this are so busy that speed paints probably would look pretty cool.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
But if you didn't spend 1,000 minutes painting it, how are you supposed to validate yourself? What's next? We're not using airbrush? What kind of madness is this?
No, I'm going to use the crescent around my lug nuts. That's how we do things around here.
I'll fucking change my tire with my Leatherman, dog.
Perfect.
Get good.
Needle nose pliers.
Yeah.
They're precise.
Fucking shit myself. Give myself a hernia.
On the Marvel Crisis Protocol side of things, one of these days I'm going to have my own segment called Robbie B's War Journal. We're going to talk some. Actually, let's start it right now. I played against the Juggernaut a couple of times. He's kind of rough.
That's the stupidest name for this segment. This is about Marvel Crisis Protocol, and you're going to call it the War Journal?
Yeah, Robbie B's War Journal.
So my dad would call anything he does because he's obsessed with War.
Oh my God, just call it the Danger Room.
Yes.
No. Everybody wants to use X-Men references. I'm using a solid Punisher reference, and nobody got it.
Punisher's fucking not tight.
Limbo.
Careful.
Limbo's a pretty cool place.
Did you have Punisher in your squad?
No.
Okay. Who's on your squad?
Depends.
Who's in your squad in this current edition of your to-be-named segment?
I got a lot of X-Men and X-Force.
Oh, Danger Room it
is. No. And Iron Man. I don't know. Anyways. So played against Juggernaut. He's kind of rough. Only a 5-threat character on paper, but he plays like a 6-threat character. He's rough to play against. It's going to take some finesse to try to kind of figure out. Worse is his tactics card that lets him basically bodyguard and get a free attack in. And those attacks can be anywhere from like 6 to 10 dice attacks. And they just, they will straight pick up models. That dude picks up models.
Juggernaut fucked, dude.
He does.
You ever read a comic book?
I did, a couple of them. And Juggernaut. But in true fashion, once you flip, his helmet comes off, his psychic defense goes down. He gets a little crazy, can throw things around.
Oh, interesting.
Psychic defense goes down to 2. So
and I'm already to the point with Marvel where it's like I just want alternate skins.
Oh, the Juggernaut I played against is an alternate skin. He was just basically charging head first.
No, I mean, like, I know you can go out and you can print them and all that. I'm just saying, like, can we get like some House of M skins or some like Age of Apocalypse skin? I mean, like, I want official models.
Yeah.
Like, I want to support the game, right?
Well, I think as long as you buy the base kit to get the cards, then you can print whatever you want and just say it's this.
He wants official shit, dog.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
yeah.
Give me Old Man Logan.
That would be dope to see an Old Man Logan too. But yeah, so there's on the rules side of things, they put out an update on the 22nd of November where all of those character card changes are now legal. All of the rules changes, like the random crisis selection is legal now. 10 cards in your team tactics pool is legal now. They updated the banned and restricted list. They updated a few team tactics cards. So it's quite an extensive amount of changes. And they weren't too upfront that like this was actually legal now and this was actually legal now and this is actually legal now. So you got to dig through the updated rule book to see a lot of it. and download the stuff from their site. But they have all the downloads for the character cards. You can get them, download them, print them out. Same with the Team Tactics cards they changed, and also the 2 Infinity Gems they changed as well. So what I like about Marvel Crisis Protocol is basically last month was year 2, and they've already gone back, updated some of the things that kind of were a little out of date, a little rusty on the edges, a little, punch below their weight class, to kind of breathe some new life into the game. And also, we're still waiting on new releases. Things are kind of backing up a little bit, unfortunately, because of the global delays and things. But they're doing a few things to try to mitigate that. They've told a lot of distributors around the world, like, hey, you can't sell this stuff even if you get it. And it's starting to kind of like, they're looking to do more like global releases. Also, if you do happen to get a miniature, it looks like the instructions are no longer included with the release starting with the X-Men and Juggernaut. It's a QR code that you have to scan. Then you get the most updated directions on your phone. So those links aren't working right now. So you might have to, if you do get these miniatures, you might have to build them a little blind.
Tight.
So a little bit of a deterrent to people going out, buying stuff from overseas, bringing it in, putting it together and having it. Not exactly what they want. So it is what it is, but it's a great game. Definitely check it out. There's probably some sales going on for the starter. I think it's like $80 retail price. So can't say enough good things about it. And last but not least, Cherokee Open tickets just went on sale today for the Frontline Gaming event in Cherokee Casino. I don't know the town it's actually in, but it's up in the mountains in North Carolina here. It's about 2 hours west of Charlotte. So it's a great area. Smoky Mountains.
Looks like a really cool venue. Got a lot of events. Got the Long War doubles there.
Yep, we'll have a Long War doubles. Wyatt and myself will be running that on Sunday there. But we'll also, are you going to play in the tournament? The 40K singles?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I think we'll be there covering the event for Spiky Bits as well. So it'll be a good time for all.
Yeah, make sure to sign up fast, book your room fast, because they're already filling up.
Turns out there's other stuff going on in North Carolina in February than just this event in the mountains. I don't think it's big enough that they've rented out the whole place yet. So, but yeah. So that's all I got for this one. I think Wyatt had some of our latest supporters over on Patreon.
Yeah, we want to give a special shout out to some of our new Patreons: Brian Miller, Scott Patterson, William Brewer, Bill Kilgore, and Andrew O'Donoghue. Thank you very much.
Can't do it without you.
Yep. Fucking need that money. Gotta get this fucking Lamborghini. Talked about it in After Hours. It's a callback.
The Necrotite Green Lambo.
Yep. We get 34 more subs. I can finally afford my Lamborghini. I think that math's out. What's 100 times 6?
600.
So it's just $1,000, right? Like,
no, $600.
Oh, okay. I can't afford my Lamborghini yet.
You're gonna need a few more subs, bro.
How much is the thing we need for Streamlabs? I mean, for Real Stream?
What?
Can we afford that?
What's a Real Stream?
The thing we use to do our podcast every week?
Oh.
Or Restream?
Well, I mean, technically I got it. I feel like we were kind of close enough to get that, but it is like $100 a month.
Yeah. Responsible use of the cash flow. But if there's any extra money next month, beer.
Booze.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, getting ready to cash in that LVO booze fund.
Mm-hmm. All these, the period Seth is basically solo funded for us.
Donate today so that Rob can wake up drunk in a bathtub. In Las Vegas.
So let's move into some of the content of the tactical variety. So, what was the order I said? G-Stealers first, right? Yeah. So, Wyatt. Crossfire. We're going to talk about this new G-Stealer. There's apparently some new previews on some cool, interesting rules mechanics. Pretty much they ripped it from the 80s Crossfire board game.
I can't confirm that. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
1-to-1.
It's 1-to-1.
1-to-1 rip.
Yeah. Break it down, Wyatt.
Yeah, so new Gene-Stealer Cult units are going to have the Crossfire keyword. And if units with that keyword score 5 or more hits with a they score 5 or more hits with a 1 damage weapon or 1 hit with a multiple damage weapon, the enemy unit gains the Crossfire token. All other Crossfire units gain +1 to hit against a unit with that token. And if you can draw a line between 2 Crossfire units within sight and the enemy unit with the Crossfire token, that enemy unit becomes exposed. And friendly units gain +1 to wound versus exposed units. And friendly units within 12 inches of an exposed unit ignore cover.
That's literally exactly how the game Crossfire works.
I don't need a token to become exposed at any time.
Solid. That's a pretty cool rule mechanic. I like it. I like some conditions on some of the best rules, right? Plus with the wound mechanics and stuff like that. Like that you have to do some things to make it occur.
It almost seems like it's kind of narrative-y. Like, oh, you're gonna pop up and then you're gonna have the dudes over here. Haha, you're surrounded and
like you're exposed, right?
Yeah.
Almost. Like, oh shit.
I like the thematic aspect to it for sure.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. I like to see obviously how effective it can be wielded with their unit choices and with this Crossfire keyword. But I think it's really intriguing, and I think it's pretty thematic. So I give it an A+. And it sounds powerful.
Neat. Yeah.
It's definitely a powerful, useful rule. Now, that's the easy one. So now we've got I like to call it the Custodes controversy. Custodes,
I don't know if it's a controversy.
Yeah, they showed up a couple of new mechanics for the Custodes decks, and they're pretty interesting. So they have this new mechanic called Martial Katas. And I'll read it for you guys. After both sides have deployed, but before you have determined who will have the first turn, you must select a primary, secondary, and tertiary martial kata from the list opposite for your army to use in the battle. So in the codex, there would be a table.
So there's a list of these special rules.
Right? And you write that down on your army roster. In each of your command phases, so long as one is available, you must select one kata stance to become active for your army. Each time you do so, units from your army with this ability benefit from it until the start of your next command phase.
So it says there's a list I pick from. I have to pick 3. Just trying to recap in real time. It's saying that if one is available, I must choose it. So every turn of the game in which I go to a command phase, I must choose one of these katas. But I have picked 3 stances.
So each kata has 2 stances.
Okay.
Right. And so if a stance is available, you must pick one.
Okay.
When selecting a kata stance to become active, the following rules apply.
There's 6 things I could pick essentially then.
Right.
So I'm not running. Okay, I see. So I'm like, well, 3 means I only get to do this for 3 turns. But I get to pick from my stances, and each kata has 2 stances. So I have 6 choices in a vacuum based on what I curated from this list I haven't seen yet. Okay.
And I guess technically you can go, you can go up to the third and then back to the first.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet, right? We haven't read any of these things yet. Like I'm just saying, in a vacuum at this moment, I've come to acknowledge that I, in a vacuum, must always pick if there is available. So, and I basically have 6 turns of freedom right now before any other rules have overlaid on top of this.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's got 3 bullet points. You cannot select a kata stance more than once. You must select a primary kata stance first, and you cannot select a tertiary kata stance until you have selected a secondary kata stance. Once you select a stance of a different martial kata, you cannot select a stance of a previous martial kata.
Okay, so this is now in reference to the game has begun. I've already selected my primary tertiary. So this is the order. First, second, third. It says, so you're saying you can't go out of so you actually are curating them in the order of access?
Right. So think about this. You have your 3 katas. They each have 2 stances. So like 6 choices.
Okay.
And you can go primary, 1, 2, or if you don't care about using both stances in your primary one, you can use 1 stance in your primary
and then move to my second
do your secondary one.
But now I've lost the turn of freedom, right? I have 6 possibilities at this moment. The second I've done that, I'm 5 turns, which is neat because there's only 5 turns in the game, which they kind of authorize me to jump the gun once and still have kata and still have these stances available every turn. Okay, I'm following.
Yeah, and then it goes over some of the katas. Things like each time this unit advances, roll 1 additional d6 and discard one of the results.
Okay, and again, kata comes with 2 stances.
Yeah, so this is just 1 stance in one of the katas.
So right? 1 stance in one of the katas is reroll a hit and wound roll?
So that's in the next thing they previewed, right? So they show off some of the katas, right? Like it's an incomplete list. Don't really need to go into every single one of them. We can wait. But the other mechanic they showed off is fighting styles. And these are a once per game ability that is tied to your shield host. Right? And shield hosts are like your companies, chapters, sword brethren, like whatever, right? It's your like mini faction. And to read off a shield host fighting style. So each fighting style also specifies a martial kata. Once per battle, when you select one of that kata stances to be active for your army, you can use this ability. If you do so, that kata's other stance also becomes active for your army. That other kata stance does not count as being selected as the active kata stance, meaning you are not prevented from selecting it in the subsequent command phase, providing you haven't already done so, and are able to use this ability even if you selected that other kata stance to be active in your previous command phase.
So this lets you move anywhere on the timeline you want for no penalty and doesn't count as putting you in that place in the timeline?
Yeah, it's like a freebie to use one of your katas twice per game.
So I can use 1 stance in my primary and I've already moved on to the second. But then I can find a situation where I want to go and grab that other stance I already used or even the one I didn't use and skipped, or go into the future and grab one I want at no penalty.
But then you come back.
And I come back. So it's pretty cool. I mean, it's funny because we're using kata and stance and fighting styles as new keywords and descriptors of something we already have. We've been doing this, and GW's been having to streamline the doctrines since they invented them in the current iteration of the rules. And remember how many tweaks have come down the pipe on combat doctrines. Like, that's too OP. You got to fix that. We shouldn't be able to do it this way. We like, there's all these, we shouldn't even have them on turn 1. Remember, like, how many things to have occurred since this, like, moving forward, like, timeline style of rules progression for an overlay since it has entered our game. So this is interesting. This is just that. And with cool new words that are thematic. And it's funny because I don't know anything about Custodes lores wise. But is that like on brand? Like katas, fighting stances, and fighting styles?
Yeah, I mean, they're like masters of martial combat, and they're extremely long-lived, probably more so than most Space Marines, right? I We talked about this once before, months and months ago. They have this like one battle doctrine they use that can like kind of predict the future through math.
At the gun kata?
No, it's not. No, it's like man, I know KR Quinn knows what it is because he helped me out last time. But it's like they use this like math stuff and to calculate everything, sort of like that Sherlock Holmes movie, and it helps them kind of like almost predict the future. And they have all these different fighting styles and stuff they can draw from.
Okay, so it's on brand, tight. So, do we have any other fighting styles previewed, or just this one that lets us bypass the timeline rule?
So that's just like the basic rule for fighting styles, and then they show off a couple of fighting styles with their traits.
What are the traits?
So the template for every shield host the Emperor's Chosen gain the Magna Imperator fighting style. And it's got these two traits tied to the martial kata Rendax. So Rendax is one they haven't shown off yet. They've only showed like 3 of them. So this goes to the Rendax kata. And the first trait is each time a unit with this trait is selected to shoot or fight, you can re-roll 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll when resolving the unit's attacks. And the second trait is each time a model in that unit with this trait would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll 1d6 on a 4-up that wound.
And this activates when they use their once per game fighting style?
I think so, yes.
This trait?
Yeah.
And this is in addition to them picking a new stance from their timeline?
Or if you've already...
Or the same one they've already used?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's super doctrine. Right? It's like unique to them, right? Like it's like...
Right. So the way they explain it, right, is they say that the Dread host, it's a real popular shield host of Custodes, right? They specialized in the Dakatare kata.
You take that back.
And so it says it lays it out, right? So like if you invoke the Dakatare kata as the Dread host, you can activate either stance at the start of your turn, but make use of both. If you then choose to stay in Dakatare next turn, you may still activate stance 2, even though you've already had the benefit.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, like we have a similar mechanic to this. Like, it's like moving from, Devastator, assault to combat doctrine in a forward linear progression, having abilities to jump ahead and have it not count, have a unit benefit, and having every one of these chapters have their own super version of things other people have access to. This is
without any stratagems or any warlord traits, which they might have too.
Now this is going to be interesting because the doctrines for Space Marines, like I said, they've had a lot of tweaking to get it really balanced. We've gone through months of like, oh, this is too powerful. It's too powerful. You know what I mean? To get them to where they are now. This seems really cool. And this will definitely be the flavor of, this is the game genie. This is the cheat code, right? Like,
it seems pretty cool. Like I just looking at this as right now, because we don't have the full picture yet.
Yeah, we only know 3 of them.
But looking at this right now, it definitely seems like a great addition, but it's not going to like make or break your army.
It's cheat code. It's free rules.
Yeah. Because there are no like downsides to these, right? It's not like, oh, you get a 4-up, feel no pain against mortal wounds, but your armor save is reduced by 1, right? It's just
not
just
conditional.
A bonus rule.
It's just
yeah.
But even the Black Templar, right? They have doctrines, right? Or no, they replace them with vows.
Yeah,
that's dumb. I hate it when they do that. They did that to the Space Wolf Codex too. Like that's one of my biggest problems with like half of the Space Wolf stuff is conditional. Like cheat codes need to be free. And that's like, we all need a reasonably similar way of playing the game with similar access to stats moved around by points associated with them. But we all should get some kind of rule break, right?
It seems cool. Like as soon as I read this martial kata stuff, I recognized the reason they worded it so specifically like this is because there was going to be things like this fighting style, and maybe some stratagems or like a warlord trait or something like that allows them to supersede this like core set of rules for this.
I think it's important to note what you mentioned earlier, though, is like the document could use some bolding on kata.
Right. Yeah. So
or
like,
just
some
bullet points.
I mean, they do basically have bullet points. It's just martial kata needs to be bolded anytime it's discussed in a paragraph.
To indicate that we are discussing the keyword.
And kata stance needs to be like bolded or somehow separated.
Yeah. We need clear and concise. Yeah. Cause the thing is you're starting to use like all these words in a string and it's clever, right? Cause we have fighting style, stance, and kata. Right. And so they get strung together in interesting ways in your mind. And so we need to just have like clear delineation, like visually between these three concepts and how they interact.
And this is another thing that Games Workshop likes to do. So like they have this rule, martial kata, which is bolded at the top, right? But then in the actual paragraph, it's not capitalized and it's not bolded. But the Callistus kata is bolded and capitalized, right? Yeah. So this leads me to believe that maybe there might be some stratagems where it's like, if you're in stance, well, one of the stances of the Callistus kata, you can do this, right? Like that is something that seems reasonable to assume.
I'm curious to see. God, I'm looking at that. I'm fucking tickled, tickle me pink. I'll try to put all that together. Is that a colloquialism?
It's close.
I like it. I think it's interesting. Now, are any of them particularly powerful at this moment?
I mean, so some of them, like on the face of them, they seem useful. Like things like additional dice to your advance roll. Even if you normal move or advance in the movement phase, you count as remaining stationary in the shooting phase. Reroll, one hit roll, one rune roll. Like they're all like little nickel and dime bonus rules.
But we don't know what the actual rules are going to be, so it's kind of like pointless to like.
Yeah, I kind of disappointed. I'd like to see some other. Do we know what their guns or their weapons or anything do yet?
We did know that they're basically the same, except for most of the stuff's straight damage 2 instead of D3 roll. Mm-hmm. Also the what is it? The swords are pistols.
Mm-hmm. They're gun swords.
What do they call those? The sentinel blades. They're pistols.
Oh, so they can shoot them in close combat?
You can shoot them in close combat, yeah. I think it's pistol too. That was kind of the big... Let me go double check.
I would have liked to see stats and stuff before I saw this.
They released a little bit. I mean, like their basic stat line isn't going to change from what they showed, but their spears go into damage 2 instead of D3. Like
that actually was like kind of one of my suspicions that they already have kind of like 9th edition stats. It's just
Well, I mean, you might be able to stack a lot of stuff on them, so maybe they just might seem a little basic bitch.
Oh, we do know some things. We know that they're losing their far up and vulnerable, right?
We don't know that for sure.
That has not been officially announced.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, that's exciting news. I know I've seen a lot of people poo-pooing on this on the internet, like, oh, they're not good. Well, so what you're telling me is we actually don't know anything about them beyond three fighting stances.
Yeah, I mean like there's no
3 katas, right?
To these rules, right? So
the one where they don't get to pile in as far, and you get to reroll wounds. That one seems pretty.
And that's
solid.
A stance or a fighting stance. What is it? Because we know 3 katas, so we know 6 total stances of 12 that are going to be potentially listed, is what we're hearing.
Yeah, potentially, because I think there's 6.
So I have a question. So the one where you get to reroll a hit and a wound, is that like every model who benefits from the stance?
Yeah, it's things that benefit from the katas.
So like if a unit of like 3 guys, like all 3 of them get a reroll independently of each other, or is it per unit?
It says each time a unit with this trait is selected a shooter fight, right?
So that's like weapon artisan, like that used to be the heat back in the day. That's like the nickel and dime bonus rules like that add power and versatility to your army. They're not going to be the end all be all of this codex. They're going to be just cool ass free rules. Yeah. I think it's off to the right start. I think it gives us a nice overlay of complexity, and because I think I don't like my games to be too simple. I like to be some combos that I have to study. Look deep. This is a whole new thing I get to think about. I like this.
Yeah, it seems like a really interesting little mechanical upgrade to these guys. So yeah, we'll see what happens. If for example there was like a benefit and a negative to these battle stances, I would be a little bit worried. But the fact that they're just all like, hey, you get this like extra rule for a turn, like how is that bad?
Well, people always think that if you get that, in order to get something has to be taken away. People have this like misconception in like I've noticed in like life. And it's like, no, you can just get things too, man. So I think they're just like, I think that they're going to get a lot of things, and they're not going to like, they may lose some things you were used to. But if, for example, we lose the Fort Vulnerable, right? This isn't like replacing the Fort Vulnerable. It's not the intent. Like,
I mean, I'm just saying a lot of terrain in 9th edition has the light cover keyword, and Terminators in light cover, even if they don't have transhuman, really hard to dig out of there. So, okay, like if you get shot with a -4 weapon, which are rare outside of Melta, right? You still have an invul save against it. It's not a 4-up, but it's a 5-up. And so it's like Custodes are going to be really hard to dig out of terrain and places on the board, even without a 4-up invul save. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's exciting. So now let's talk about this the real scandal. Apparently we got our hands on future plans and future GT books because of some snafu with GW, Rob?
No, I think it was just somebody misscheduled a post to go out. Like Goonhammer accidentally either misscheduled a post and hit publish and it went out, or their wires got crossed with GW and something. And maybe tomorrow we'll see a new meta watch with all these changes highlighted in it. But yeah, I mean, we know a day ahead.
Without getting too out in the weeds, it was mostly talking about what's going to go down at the invitational event that is going to end this year's GW Roadshow of tournaments, and some of the interesting things they're going to be doing with that, and also like some cool tidbits about what's going to come with the GT 22 book.
Okay, so let's start with the book.
So, in addition to handful of small changes, primary is going to be changed, where instead of 5, 10, 15, it's going to be 4, 8, 12.
4, 8, 12. So, so that's what it's like escalating, right? So like 1 point difference for holding 1, 2 point difference, and then 3 point difference. Okay.
And then it goes on to say that the mission secondary objectives, like priority target, raise, stuff like that, are gone.
So the garbage poo-poo ones that nobody uses?
So this statement says mission secondaries are gone.
Oh.
But it just gives an example of a couple of them. And it says instead, missions now have an additional primary objective that rewards players for accomplishing certain actions.
So it is an additional, not in exchange. Oh, so this makes perfect sense. I missed that. That's interesting. So you're losing out on primary scoring, right? So you can't get the same numbers you used to, and it's escalating, right? Like diminishing.
Well, we think so. One of the things that we speculated was that this additional primary objective
covers the gap,
is a way to bump it back up to 5, 10, 15.
Yeah, That's exactly what it is. It's interesting because remember we talked about this earlier. ITC Championship Pack, which is clearly the inspiration of how we play 40K now via GW official. But that's his inspiration, right? It was hold one, hold more, kill more, and we had asymmetrical secondaries, many of which are almost exactly the GT packet that ITC curated are actually in the GW book, right? one of the things that we had was bonus points. Like one of them was simply, have a character on 3 separate objectives, get 1 point every turn you accomplish this task. Where that is different than how we have it, what we've been playing right now, is that here's the secondary that you could take instead of one of your good secondaries and take a risk on. No. Fuck that. Here's our new primary bonus. And that makes sense. Remember, it was 1 point a turn for most of them. So like, if it's literally like do this task for 1 extra point a turn, that's 5 points in a game, right? So maybe it's going to be exactly the math from a max score. Maybe it'll be like, so what are we down now? 350. We're down 15 points now.
Better paint your army.
So maybe it'll be like, maybe it'll be up to 3 points a turn. 1, 2, and 3.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll have to see what Wyatt thinks once he unmutes himself.
I was saying, like, we'll have to see how they change the math. So our assumption is that it's going to go the change 4, 8, 12 back to 5, 10, 15 for accomplishing this additional primary, but it could go above that. If it was 3 points, that would be kind of weird because then it would be like,
I think it's one. I think it'll be 1, 2, and 3. It'll be just like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It'll be a primary scored similarly 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like your total point per turn would be a weird odd number. So if I'm only holding one objective, but I score 3 points, it would be 7.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? I mean, numbers are numbers. Like you have a way to get back to 100.
Okay,
that's what
I see what you're saying now. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? And what it does is it creates more separation in the pack as well, because, like, as you know, like because right now it's a 100-point scoring system, but technically it's not, right? Like, I mean, like, it's like everyone has at least 10, no one's 0. So it's a 90-point scoring system where the next lowest score you could possibly get is 15 points. You can do, right? You can get like 5 points on primary, get tabled. So there's no 1, there's no 3, there's no 4. So separation, while it's there and it's fast, way more than it was in the older way, this actually adds a new layer of separation in the pack. Less ties, less draws, less play down, play ups. So
I can see that.
This is good. This is good, healthy level of growth.
And yeah, besides that, they hint that secondary objectives have undergone some changes, but very vague on that. No examples given.
No examples given, but okay. But we speculated, again, just reference the ITC packet from the past. They were also guilty of some of the things that we have with secondaries right now currently, which is, as Wyatt mentioned earlier, passive scoring. Right? Like back in the ITC packet, engineer, recon, like that was like American Express card, right? Like, which is modern day engage in all fronts. And engineers almost shockingly is almost as ridiculous as retrieve Ontario data. Like, it's pretty close. So you give me the option to take a passive score route, something that I can get without even looking at one of your units, I'm going to fucking take it. There's no condition. The condition is have my model here, you know? So that generates stale metas. Like when you're living in that like lack of engagement, a crucial thing that we're missing from this, from our current way of playing is that kill more, right? We have like sort of versions of that in the form of secondaries, like we're grinding them down, right?
Yeah.
But we need to be more encouraged to kill things and less rewarded for passively scoring. And I think that an overhaul in secondaries might look like that. Something Wyatt brought up. Remember Gangbusters?
Gangbusters would be really useful in a lot of situations because its final form was a total number of wounds. Like you get a point for every so many wounds that you dealt. And
they experimented it. It used to be like units with this many wounded models. Right. Like they had all these like weird ways of trying to figure out how to balance it. In the end, it was just like wounds.
Yeah. And it just goes into right now. It's relatively easy to deny or make certain secondary objectives unsavory to take in your list builds. So like I use a lot of demon engines, right, which have the vehicle keyword, but you can only get 12 points from that. And so a lot of people might try to do something else, or if they have to take grind or not grind, but bring it down, they're like, it sucks. Cause like, even if I do really well, I won't get a 15. Whereas if it was just wounds, you could totally max that out against that demon engine army. Right. Mm-hmm. There's some factions that, it could be really useful against that are somewhat oppressive. Like, Custodes is one, Dark Angels, like full Deathwing stuff.
That's exactly why it existed, right? Because like we used to have Reaper. Reaper was the kill for every 10 models you killed, get a point. Right.
And that was for hordes.
That was for hordes. And then they had Gangbusters, which was for elite armies, but it took a while for them to word it in a way that made it work. And so we have that right now. We have the horde version right now as a secondary, but hordes aren't that popular. So we have no answer to like elite spam as far as secondaries goes. Nothing that encourages me to kill you. Mm-hmm. So I'm very incentivized to take a passive scoring objective. And they have a whole swath of secondaries they could replace, essentially the whole psychic thing.
Right.
As you mentioned earlier. And I'm not saying they're useless. I'm just saying that.
A lot of them are really useless in the way that people play the game. Some factions have really cheap psychers or really efficient psychers. Other factions don't. The majority of factions that play 40K that have access to psychers at all, typically only want to bring one or two, and they serve a very specific function because unless you're running somebody like Tigerius or Magnus, right, you're getting one, maybe two spell casts every psychic phase. And so to do a psychic action like Psychic Ritual, you're giving up your ability to buff your guys or debuff the enemy or whatever your strategy was by including the Psyker in your army. Now, if it was one spell cast to do the action, and then if you have more, you can do another spell, that would be fantastic. Or how about it's
just successfully manifest a psychic power within 3 inches of the fucking objective that you're supposed to what if it just wasn't a new dumb psychic power? What if it was just manifest a power?
I like the actions because actions have a
that's how you finish the action. Like the action isn't do this stupid psychic power we made up to do the action. Do your fucking any psychic power you have. Every other condition stays the same. I somewhat agree, but I feel like in that scenario it's too free. There needs to be conditions are why we take passive scores. Too many conditions. That's the big problem with the psychic tree is like that whole section is just so fucking conditional. Like too many things can go wrong, so it's garbage. Make less things go wrong. Or give up less things. Like having to put your psyker out of position to do some dumb shit is already such a fucking hard pill to swallow. That's a massive condition. I just think you should get rid of them. Just fuck that whole section of the book.
I'm not opposed to that. I was trying to find a compromise that would work, but
just fuck them. Like every time somebody thinks they're a fucking genius against me and they take fucking Psychic Ritual because their army is really good at Psychic Ritual, quote unquote, they got all these psychers. They're like, how many psychers you guys? Like just one, just Morty. They're like, I got this. They're like, I'm gonna do Psychic Ritual. Fucking just zero on my fucking Psychic Ritual. It's not tight. Let's get a whole new section of more offensive based, highly incentivized secondaries, right? Let's incentivize engagement. Let's get some more options.
I definitely like that because
it keeps keeps it close.
I was going to say that there's been a lot of feedback that I've heard over this year at small events and big events alike, where the passivity of how certain factions are like, not only do they have a great book, not only do they have a tool for every situation, but they score these huge point totals very passively, almost for free, right? It's very feels bad. And as we have talked about many times, anything that's like that to that degree in a game system is objectively bad for the game system.
It's unhealthy.
Right.
And we're playing Warhammer 40K, not like fucking Risk, where I'm just going to move this unit of cavalry into this grid square and hold it.
It's
the far future where there is only war, dog.
When chess is more engaging and has more offensive moves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, let me get them skulls for the Skull Throne.
Like, you got to trade, you got to sacrifice, you got to crush. And I think, but I'm very intrigued by the first part of this document. We know nothing about the secondaries. Rob, we're just speculating. We're making shit up. But we do know what they said in the first.
I like to make shit up.
I love making shit up. It's the best way to write articles on Spiky Bits, actually. 69% less.
What, did you think that shit was true?
No, of course not, man. It's spikybits.com.
Not a lick of it. Never.
But like, we know the first part is true. 4 points, 8 points, 12 points.
Yep.
And then a new primary, in addition to probably, you can infer, cover that difference to get back to 100-point scoring system. And they're going to be reworking secondaries. They're already on on that wavelength, right? They're thinking competitively. They're thinking healthy. You know, even the joke in that article, remember when they got rid of deploy scramblers and replaced it for retrieve Octarian data? The whole reason, they even joked, okay, Nick Alvadi's article was like, we've deployed all the scramblers. It's already done. We need a new one. But scramblers was like, remember it was just like here, here, and here, right? The table was thirds. Mm-hmm. And so you had the world's largest objective marker that you had to exist in to achieve it, right? The world's largest objective marker. They changed it to the world's second largest objective marker by making it fourths, quadrant. It's pretty much the same thing. So they're like, we got to make it like one more condition to make this not. And I think at this point they're like, okay, get rid of that. Or if they say in an overhaul, Wyatt speculated earlier or proposed a clean fix, which is actions are achieved in your command phase.
Right, because we have some actions that are like that already, where you start them in your movement phase and they don't complete until the next command phase. And then some of them just complete at the end of your turn, right? And that's why things like Arctarius data is so popular, because all you need is 4 to 5 infantry units, a couple of ones that can either deep strike or outflank. They just walk on, they do an action and die. Like
in real turn, you come off from strategic reserves, action accomplished. I have my points. I don't give a fuck about
that
this.
Unit's dead to me or whatever, right? And you trade that cheap unit for
winning the game,
right? If they made it to where you could still do that, but the action is not completed until your next command phase, you have to be way more choosy about
if that
where
changed,
you're doing that.
If that was the wording on Rod right now, I would be very incentivized to look into other secondaries. I would think twice. I'd look at my opponent. I'd put a little bit more thought into it. I would be like, this is kind of dicey. I don't know if I can do this. I would actually stop and think about it. But when I went to Vegas teams with you guys, I didn't think about it once. I literally just wrote that shit down blind every fucking time. Rod, fucking engage on all fronts, grind him down. Didn't even.
You're the reason.
Oh yeah, I freely admit it. If you give me the opportunity and you incentivize me to passively score points in the background of the game while I'm fucking trying to table you, I will take that. I will game that shit. I will take that route. You know, like. How could I not? Like I said, that's gambling now. I'm gambling on a fucking win versus the guaranteed knowledge that despite anything you do based on the way the terrain is set up and how I'm going to move these models and I've curated my strategic reserve staggering, there's nothing you're going to do to stop me from getting X points. You got to incentivize me to go after other points. And so I'm very hopeful. Now, we can talk about that. That's all the rule shit, right? Like that's game health.
Yeah.
Let's talk real quick about this interesting exhibition invitational.
The one in Austin?
No. So
part of the same document.
Yeah. So they're going to have this invitational up at the Grapevine Citadel. That's going to be like the end cap to the roadshow, right? And they invited a number of people. GW invited these people from, I guess they did well, or they're like public figures in the community, to come to this event and play. And some of it, like half of it, is going to be for like best general, best sport, things like that, like an actual tournament. And the other half is going to be like exhibition matches. And for the straight up competition, it's bring your competition list and play that, right? And then the other part, the exhibition stuff, is kind of interesting because Games Workshop asked these people, like, what's your collection? Tell us your collection of like fully painted stuff, and we're going to create lists for you using your faction of choice, so that we can have these interesting exhibition games where the armies are more accessible and a little off meta, and maybe wouldn't be like the, super sweaty competition style stuff, but played by some of the best players.
Oh, you mean that, thing that most people do?
Yeah, the thing that everyone does in tournaments. I like this because this is very mirror match-esque, right? The mirror match concept that has occurred in past tournaments where they publish the list and everyone has the same list. I love that, right? But
I don't think it's quite that. I think it's more.
Yeah, it's like kind of like that. Let's take some, like, you don't get to pick it though, right? We're going to design the list. So obviously their intent, Rob, is that they're going to use their subjectivity to kind of balance and weight the armies against it. They're trying to like eliminate skew. And so I infer that the reason for this is because if they just said, let's do some mirror matches, that first off looks like shit. Like, that's not a photo op. That's not marketable. And also, you can't ask a bunch of people to bring some brand new painted shit. So mirror matches historically, Rob, have been no painting requirements, right? And so this is like the next tier of that, right? Where they're going to be like, okay, this is kind of like the archetype of a list that we're looking for this exhibition, and we're going to try to make it with everyone's painted model collection the best we can. And I don't think we know the points. Is it 2,000 points?
Oh, that wasn't stated. I assume it's 2,000 match play.
Right. So I think it's interesting, and I think it's going to lead to some pretty cool stuff. And like, I do think there's going to be a degree of bragging rights there, but also it's highly gameable. My only issue with it, right? You have a bunch of the world's top fucking people being invited to this thing with a form that says, tell me what your faction of choice is that you're bringing in, list all the models in your painted collection, and we're going to choose a list. And not even trying to game it, Rob. Death Guard, faction of choice. Here's my painted list. It's like 2,500 points. I barely have more than my 2,000 point list. Like, it's my curated competition list. Like, it's always going to have Mortarion in it. There's no way they can make my 2,000 points without Mortarion.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think in that perspective, and
there's a lot of tournament players just like me. Think about every Grey Knight guy
I think a lot of people will upgrade and just get rid of their armies as soon as they're not like as super optimal. That's why
I hardly collect more than what I need for my competition list, and it grows inside of a season slightly, right? You know what I mean? As I need new units.
Yeah, which is not what the general hobbyist public does.
Right, but this is an invitational, dog. You know what I'm saying? So faction of choice, Grey Knights. You just made your 4 Dread Knight Grey Knight list. You submit your models to fucking GW from the pick your exhibition list.
Yeah, which is basically your tournament list. Yeah.
You have like 2,100 points of Grey Knights. Yeah. It's going to be the meta list. Like, so the problem, so I'm anxious to see when this article drops.
I'm sure they're not stupid. I'm sure they figured out like, hey, that's not exactly what we're going for.
Yeah, I think. And I'm not saying anyone's trying to game it. I'm just saying like, I'm not bringing 2 fucking armies to this thing. If I'm playing in this invitational and this exhibition because I was invited to, I'm not like, here's my fucking
it could be the
orc collection for 20 years and I'm bringing my fucking Grey Knights. I'm not going to.
I think what it could also be too is that maybe perhaps, and I don't know, but if this was me setting this up, it would be tough because you've got the competitive players that might only have the competitive models in their collections because That's what they do. That is the thing that gets their hobby juices going, is the competitive scene. So they don't have the stupid amount of Imperial Guard tanks that somebody like me might have, for no apparent reason other than the fact that I think they're cool and I like collecting them and painting them. So I could see where they want to take some people from maybe out of the competitive scene and bring them in that are more like collectors and might have that sort of thing and access to those models. But I don't know, it has to be done right. And I hope it's done right.
I hope the forum has more information on it than just send us a list. I hope it's like, send us a list of your chosen faction, battle ready models, no less than 3,000 points in models.
Yeah. I mean,
there's got to be some caveat there.
I don't know how granular they got that. I imagine that most of this back and forth was done in good faith. So, yeah. I mean, if they were like, okay, I realize that you only own 4 Dread Knights and a smattering of infantry to make this list, and you want to play Grey Knights, could you possibly pick up, some more troop choices so that we can do something like that, right? Like all these people are adults with. I don't
think anyone's going to game it, and I think it's going to be amazing, and I think it's a solid fucking. But thing is, wouldn't have a podcast with some like commentary on fucking tactics and like gamemanship if I didn't bring up that obvious loophole that I see in it.
Right. Yeah. If this was just like a blind, like, if you want to sign up to this event, here's the rules. Like,
I don't think anyone's going to game it. I think this is a fucking high spirit exhibition competition.
Right.
I think it's very cool.
When this, because it's all going to be on live streamed and everything. So I'm sure that when it happens and they tell everybody the format, we kind of see what's going on and like we see who's going to be here. Like it all makes sense. Like I think it'll be very interesting and fun.
I mean, I would go crazy. I'd be like, faction choice, chaos. I would literally submit my Night Titans, my fucking Armigers, my fucking Demon Engines, my fucking every little fucking thing I had. And I'm like, go nuts, do some crazy shit. I don't care. Like a super high heavy auxiliary attachment with this one knight with double fucking chain cannons. Like, oh no, that's so many points. I hate it. You know what I mean? I can think.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how the results shake out. Like if it is just a truly competitive players with their semi-competitive lists, then it was kind of like a failed experiment in my mind. But I don't want to jump to conclusions yet. I
mean, like I don't give a shit about this roadshow. But I am kind of interested in the results of this exhibition match.
I don't think – I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think while we haven't heard anything like super negative or anything about the way anything was handled at any of these events, I personally don't think we need these GW events.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm not going to go to them. No, I'm not, especially – right when they're on the tin, like you can't create content at these things. This is our event. This is our thing. And I just think they could be spending the money, time, and resources at like, I don't know, fixing codex books, fixing other problems, fixing their app, then putting on events that we already have all the frontline gaming shit. We have Adepticon. I don't know what's going on with Nova Open.
Like downloading, you mean being able to like look at codexes on my fucking app that I pay him for?
Yeah, and I think the codex thing, the digital codex thing is even more important in 2021 when they keep pushing the fucking codexes back.
God, we've been talking about this for a fucking year.
Imagine that you could get your codex. People would still buy the hard copies, but they've pigeonholed all of this into getting people into the app and getting people on Warhammer Plus to show that they're a membership. They're trying to become a membership-based business. We did a whole series of articles on this by somebody in the space that is their literal job, is to do these sorts of things for companies. And he explained it all very well. Look it up over on Spiky Bits. But that is not a value to the average hobbyist in the fact that, now we have all of these things kind of coming together as a head. Would it be sad if there was no Adepticon or there was no Frontline Gaming events? Those were the people that kept this game going and kept it alive when GW was fucking up for the last 10 years doing events. And we just don't need them. Like,
I stand by your statement. Like, I'm hype on it. It's just like the Super Bowl, man. I watch the Super Bowl. I don't give a fuck about the NFL.
People like competition and it's cool to see stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm just not convinced that we need any of these GW events.
Do we need it? No.
Do we even want it?
Need one. I would say I'm on the other. I'm opposite. I want more events. I want as many events as possible because not everybody can go to every event.
Sure.
Like just today we were doing tax class. Like some of our guys were like, yeah, I'll be there. And some of our guys were like, I can't swing it. Right. And so it's like, if there's only one event per month, right? I mean, like there's RTTs and GTs in your local area. We're talking like big events, so like keyword event, right? Not everybody can go to that where it's like, I can't go to it because it's at the end of the month. I need it to be at the beginning of the month, or like, this entire, I can't do anything until like July or something like that. So I want everybody to be able to have fun event times, and we don't have to go to every single one, right? No. If you're able to, you can pick and choose which ones you want to go to, or if there's more events for everybody to choose from, more people will be able to go to events. So,
you both
it's not my cup of tea. I don't like their policy about like no fucking hobby freedom or whatever, but I don't need to go to them because I go to a lot of other ones. But for some people, that might be their one big event they're able to go to a year. And
for sure. If it's the only event you can go to and it just lines up perfectly with your shit, like vote with your hobby dollars. That's important. You go to it. But me, I'm just not interested at all. And, GW.
Yeah, that's why you're not. I mean, your opinion, which you clearly stated, is why you're not going. Yes,
correct. I just feel like we, as a hobby community, a lot of people don't remember what happened 10 years ago from Games Workshop, the great abandonment.
I love it. The great abandonment.
And not only that, and the grand tournament scene, but also on the, things like Games Day and just organized events in general. Because
Yep. I went to the last Games Day, but we didn't know it was the last one. We just thought it was a Games Day and we had a great time. And then it was like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Hey, thanks for coming to the last Games Day. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. What?
Like, wait, what?
Like, I don't know. I'm just starting to become.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
But I think we made all our points that we were trying to make tonight. I hope.
All right. Well, Rob.
Oh, this is my part again. So that's it for this one. Head on over to thelongwar.net, which conveniently points to our Patreon page now for exclusive content and early access videos. Become a veteran of the Long War today.